So shall we start?
I think we're good to go.
Yep.
All right. So let's take a minute to introduce ourselves. I'm going to go last. So ladies first, Siham, Foz, Hamad, and Nida, and then myself.
Sure.
Siham, if you can unmute yourself. You're on mute, Siham.
You just press on the mic, Siham. No?
I unmuted her. All right.
Okay.
I unmuted. My bad.
Sorry, guys. I do generally know how to unmute. Thanks for the technical support.
Because for you, complained and then you're YouTube, so I muted you.
لا مو anyway. Thank you guys for hosting. سهام الحسيني بس ما قررتوا الحين تبون عربي تبون انجليزي انا الحين قرروا من البدايه. سهام الحسيني, I'm the general manager of Deliveroo بالكويت. I come from a management consulting background. I used to work for strategy and doing consulting for the banking sector. Before that, I got my MBA at Columbia. And a long time before that, I was an engineer in a previous life. Thank you for the invite. Happy to be here.
Foz?
Foz Al-Khonaini, CEO and managing partner of Dough. We also manage a restaurant management company that hosts a couple of brands. يعطيكم العافية يا جماعة. Thank you, Cross Cultural Diwaniya. Thank you, Sarah, for hosting. Happy to be here.
Hamad and Nida.
Hamad, go ahead.
مشكور هدى. حمد founder in GM Zida. To date يمكن أنا في الأول في قطاع الاستثمار finance, وبعدها اشتغلت في السوفت وير تحديدا في non profits open data initiatives, مشاريع مثل راقب 50, مناقصات insights. بعدها يمكن اشتغلت على يعني our own application, mobile application في قطاع restaurant and food discovery. Well, that was, I think, the point in which we transitioned and we pivoted into a problem that businesses تحديدا في قطاع المطاعم كانوا يعانون منها. فيعني كانت هذه يعني نقطة انطلاقة زيدة. وsince then يعني كنا احنا we launched in 2018. ويعني things have progressed since then. مشكورين أولاً على الاستضافة. إن شاء الله I think we're gonna have some interesting stuff to share with the audience that we have. Over to you, Nida.
Thank you, Hamad. Thank you, everyone. أنا قبل أبلش we're gonna miss Dough in the next 20 days يعني للأمانة, بس يلا ماكو مشكلة. اسمي ندى الديحاني. أنا ب 2010 أسست شركة اسمها Brilliant Lab. Brilliant Lab basically عبارة عن شركة تستثمر وتسرع المشاريع التكنولوجية. من 2010 إلى اليوم اشتغلنا مع قريب 88 مشروع تكنولوجي. 90% منهم بالكويت, بس في some of them around the GCC region. We invest in startup. We have like 4 or 5 companies in our portfolio. والشغلة الثالثة اللي عندنا إياها عندنا co-working space حق الستارت-ups في البحرين.
Amazing.
And this co-working space بلش بشهر 8 2019. So you can see it يعني تونا مبلشين take off. Corona comes in February, March. That's in a nutshell.
And we are going to discuss how fun Corona has been.
Sure.
I'll briefly introduce myself. Sarah Al-Atiji, have been in various roles. I started my career in private equity and moved on into entrepreneurship. I'm currently the CEO of Zain, a venture-backed e-commerce in the luxury space, which has completely pivoted during Corona. We actually launched in January as one thing, and then literally the minute our app launched, we had to switch gears completely. And I'll discuss this inshallah shortly. So I kind of want to go in the same order. It's always going to be Siham, Foz, Hamad, and Nida, just to keep things consistent. I want you to kind of tell me very briefly, what was your business model pre-Corona, just for everybody to know? So if you can start, Siham. I haven't muted you. معليش انت you get muted. Okay, then Foz start while I unmute.
Okay. So our business model is pretty simple. Premium, handcrafted, artisanal donut line. The point of establishing Dough was to bring forth a brand that establishes a multi-dimensional competitive advantage in terms of positioning, quality, sourcing of ingredients, marketing strategies, everything basically, to bring forth a brand that is quite different from a multi-dimensional perspective. We started off as just delivery through online platforms. We started off with Carriage, Hazzetha, a few years back, and then started going into brick and mortar and moving on from there, basically.
Just to note, okay, so great. Sorry, I was going to say, Siham, I can't unmute. And Siham?
Sure. So I work for Deliveroo. Deliveroo is a food delivery company. I think the way our CEO defines what we do is, we're a three-sided marketplace that services an end user, an end customer, restaurant partners, and riders. We work across 12 now different geographies, and essentially we work through logistics. We deliver food. We work on partnerships with restaurants, but we're also a customer acquisition tool for restaurant partners. And we offer the service of aggregating essentially all the options when it comes to food and people's favorite food in one place. And we think of ourselves as a tech company, I think, because we work across the marketplace and across stakeholders to optimize the product experience, to make sure that each stakeholder has the best possible journey from the time they use the app, whether it's through our web-based system for restaurants, through the app for customers, or through the rider app, to have the best possible or the most optimal customer experience for that stakeholder. I think many people are familiar with food delivery, especially these days. I'll leave it at that.
Hamad? Liana, Hamad is muted. Liana, if you can keep all the panelists as unmuted in case I ask questions to all of them. Please leave all panelists as unmuted, Liana. Okay, let's go with Nida على ما... Okay,
Sure.
sorry, Hamad.
No
You're
problem.
on.
I'm good. Go ahead, Nida.
Go ahead, Hamid.
Okay. احنا Zida is a technology enabler. We started يعني تقريبا بلشنا نشتغل على البرودكت او البلاتفورم late 2017. The idea طبعا came from the pressure that some of the businesses, specifically in the food sector, مطاعم, were struggling with their declining profit margins because of particular platforms, marketplaces that switched the revenue model for them, for they were taking hefty commission fees. كانت هذه نقطة الانطلاقة لأن حسينا أن في pain point موجودة, lack of يعني solutions, ready solutions for them to transition online quickly and directly and own the relationship with the customer. فبلشنا ب 2018 أطلقنا أول براند. ظلينا يعني نستثمر في القطاع اللي هو قطاع الأكل والمطاعم. الادوبشن يمكن في البداية كان يعني في درجة من الخجل يمكن من ناحية البزنسز نفسها أو سواء من ناحية على صعيد وعلى صعيد آخر من ناحية الكاستمر والطلب عن طريق الانستغرام. 2019 بلشت الدنيا تتغير شوية وبلشنا نشوف retailers also showing interest. في البداية طبعا احنا our default position is to say no unless we realize that there is a pain point to solve. That ended and we started expanding to other industries such as flowers, bakeries, and maybe some small businesses in the retail accessories, fashion and so on. اغلبهم كان في قطاع الهوم بزنس. 2020 الدنيا تغيرت تماما, فاليوم صار عندنا لا براندز كبيره مثل كروكس وغيرها يعني في قطاعات مختلفه, and all of that has been يعني more of يعني an organic inbound interest rather than us seeking out the bigger brands or the businesses in different industries. The model that we brought in Kuwait is one of subscription, where the subscription fees are so ridiculously low that you can't say no, and the service is so يعني assisted بحيث ان انت you don't have to learn the new technology. We hold your hands through your full and complete transition online. And we support you across the board, يعني even post going online as well. فالحمد لله يعني things have been يعني the market has received us very well, especially over the last couple of years. وإن شاء الله يعني we can elaborate and go into more details in the rest of the panel يعني.
Amazing. All right. Nida?
أنا يعني in a very quick summary البزنس موديل مالنا طبعا حسب السؤال قبل كورونا. احنا في بريليانت لاب عندنا تو فاندز، واحد مسوينا مع بيت التمويل وواحد مسوينا مع شركه راس عميل، وكل واحد فيهم يختلف بحجم الاستثمار والمرحله الاستثماريه الخاصه بالشركه. من الفاندز هذا اتس بريتي ستريت فورورد، ناخذ مانجمنت في من هذا الصندوق حق اي ستارت اب يتم الاستثمار فيها. هذا اول ريفينيو ستريم. ثاني ريفينيو ستريم، ال 88 مشروع اللي اشتغلنا وياهم بالكويت وديناهم انتو ابريدج تو سيليكون فالي، فهذه نسميها ناخذهم لسيليكون فالي عن طريق شيء اسمه كوربريت بروجرام، فيندفع لنا فيه حق هالبروجرام هذه تو بي دان. ما ناخذ فيه من الانتربرنور، ناخذ فيه من الكوربريتس اللي ودها انها تدعم الانتربرنورز هذول. على سبيل المثال زين 55 مشروع، تسهيلات الساير 4-5 مشاريع، شركه الحمراء العقاريه another like 3-4 project. والريفينيو ستريم الثالث اللي هو pretty straightforward، الكووركينج سبيس قاعد نأجر فيه مكاتب، قاعد نأجر فيه ديسكس مرخصه طبعا في البحرين حق اي صاحب مشروع وده انه يدش السوق الخليجي السوق البحريني. That's pretty our 3 revenue stream pipelines.
Okay, amazing. What's very fun is يعني إن حمد وندى اثنيناتكم عندكم you get to see a lot of different industries at the same time, so you guys might have like more viewpoints to share. Zain, so I'm gonna focus less on business model with you guys. Zain, I want to ask يعني انتوا الحين one by one. And Faisal, I'm gonna start with Siham and she's muted. So Siham, by the way, شكل technical difficulties عندي لأن أنا ما قاعدة أجلس لميوت.
أنت حاطين ليش أقول إن
شنو؟
حطيتوا علي you're muting me كل ساعة.
Zoom is listening in and they're like, Siham hates us. She's gonna be muted forever. For all people watching, قبل you join, we were debating Zoom or YouTube because we had technical difficulties, and في واحدة الله يسر علينا وعليها قالت ما نبي يوتيوب ما نبي زوم، فيعني شكل الوضع
أفضل يوتيوب بس يلا ما يخالف.
اوكي انزين. So يعني I wanna شوية take a step back. So انتوا الحين سهام and فوز انتوا اثنين في الفود اندستري. شنو صار الحين؟ انتوا اليوم ماكو كورونا، الحياة حلوة. How drastic was your change to your business model? يعني the day they announced والله by the way أو سمعتوا بالأخبار الحين في شيء اسمه كورونا. Did you take action then or when did you start taking action? I'm going to start with Siham.
Sure. Look, Anna, to be candid, I wouldn't say we changed our business model. I think we adapted to ways of working. I think احنا من industries أو من businesses, delivery in particular, maybe not as of tonight, but since this crisis started, we've still had a role to play. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that our business model changed. You know, we continue to run as we did before. We're a 3-sided marketplace. We continue to support restaurants, riders, and customers. I think what changed is 2 things. I think one, our day-to-day changed, and I think this is something that impacts all businesses, مو بس food industry or any particular industry. The way we work changed. One, we started working from home. وإحنا as a business that works in a tight space, as my team will tell you, where you hear everybody's thoughts out loud, where there's constant debates and arguments, and you're in a startup environment and you're constantly sardined together in this kind of problem-solving world to working from home. This is the first like huge adjustment for us. We went from being in one space to being everybody is all across the country sitting in front of their desk or on their sofa. I mean, our business model didn't change, but our ways of working changed. I think adjusting to working from home, Hadi, it's a small thing, but what really changed, as a business, the way we operate is decision making and planning. When we used to, when Corona was announced, planning became 80% of our bandwidth. The things we used to do, a meeting once a month became a meeting once a week. A meeting once a week became a meeting every single day. Planning for scenario, a bullish, bearish, and base case scenario became planning for scenario A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, حظر كامل today.
زين سهام بس I'm gonna focus on one thing لأنا برجع لك because I want other people to have a chance. So أنت الحين you said you're a three-sided business. هل أنت والله you said you know what, since إحنا our third pillar is the riders, because of Corona, should you just focus on the restaurants delivering their own things? Was that something you took into consideration to إن تخففين العبء مال third part? Was that something you guys did, for example?
Yeah, look, I think we did a lot of things to adjust. But the core of the business didn't change. But أكيد we said, look, إحنا مثلا we're restricted. We can only support X amount of capacity. We struggled with our service levels. We struggled to service that many orders. أكيد قلنا restaurants, we're going to depend on you. في ناس they went out and did their own delivery. Business owner, we had to
so when you're talking about capacity, it's increased during Corona?
What happened to clarify how business changed, انت مثلا قبل حظر الكامل كان في حظر من الساعة من 5 للساعة 12 أو 1 نسيت، بس فالorders كانت تجيب فترة أقصر، فعندك شيء like a compression of orders that are coming all at the same time، والناس متى يتذكرون يطلبون من الساعة 2 ل3 قبل الحظر بساعة، فيصير عندك huge capacity. So this kind of squeezed capacity within a short period of time is not something we're used to. We plan for a 12-hour day. There's different kind of ebbs and flows. There's a different volatility. We had to adjust the way we were planning our operations, the way we were staffing our riders. Maybe we can service thousands of orders across the day, but not 80% of our order capacity in 1 hour. Now, these adjustments are things you do as a business. So, and again, it's part of the planning process. Well, what would happen if all orders came at 2 to 3? How do we have to adjust our operations? How do we add more fleet? How do we reduce fleet? How do we take care of them? The number of decisions we had to make on a daily basis, and we do, is not like a normal business cycle of quarterly planning or monthly planning. It's like fire drill, but in an organized manner to some extent.
Foz?
The first part of the question, when you asked, did you take action من أول يوم سمعتوا بكورونا أو هذا?
Yes.
I think almost all businesses will tell you no, صح? Because one of the biggest things that came with COVID is uncertainty. ما احنا عارفين ايش كثر راح يطول، ما احنا عارفين شنو الماس مال شنو الامباكت on the masses، ما احنا عارفين في توصيل ما في توصيل، ننتظر نسمع اشاعات بس ننتظر القرار الرسمي. ففي امور وايد intricate that are completely up in the air because of uncertainty. Did we take action من بداية Corona? Frankly, no, we didn't. And this is, I think, one of the biggest things that led to Corona, that COVID brought onto the market is adaptation. And adaptation became vital. You have no other option but to adapt, and adapt quickly, adapt appropriately, adapt effectively using the resources that you have, minimizing costs to the maximum ability. That's the thing with uncertainty.
But what are some measures that you took, Foz? Give me an example of 3 things. وترى we lost your voice شوية.
أنا صوتي راح ولا؟
You're good.
Okay. One of the measures that we needed to take was to manage wastage. Yeah. So we don't because of مثل ما سهام قاعد تقول إن التايمز تغير أو الحظر يتغير. We can't prepare anything really in advance, and that allows us to minimize the ability of orders that we can send out. لأن I can't pre-prepare for X amount. بالتالي الوقت يتغير, therefore orders decrease. Another thing is sourcing. Supply chain, and I think anyone in the F&B will tell you the disruptions that happened because of supply chain. Trying to move sourcing of supplies from the shift that we've witnessed from globalization to regionalization, trying to get things as fast as you can locally, and shifting these kinds of ingredients without harming quality and without seeing any quality degradation in recipes and etc. These are a couple of things that needed to change, and needed to change very quickly with COVID.
حمد؟
احنا بالنسبه لنا يمكن ما ادري اذا تذكرين ساره، بس يمكن اول 2-3 من فبراير people were questioning whether COVID is real or not, whether
I remember
take action or whether it's our reaction is exaggerated. Even when you're on the side where you feel that serious action is warranted and that this is something that needs to be taken account for, الناس اللي حوالينك يشككونك بنفسك بطبيعة الحال. You can't really take action or at least يعني ما تقدرين تتحركين بطريقة سريعة وكبيرة لأن أنت شغالة مع تيم. فواحدة من الأشياء أذكر إحنا بعد a large base of our team is in Cairo. وانتم كلكم طبعا عارفين الوضع في القاهره يمكن للحين فلاتي، ما في يعني لا لوك داون والكرفيو للساعه يعني يبدي الساعه 9 بالليل. ف we sent a memo to the team to start working from home. ثاني يوم تقريبا كل التيم ما عدا شخص واحد went to the office. فلا يا جماعه الموضوع يعني it's serious and we need to take action وهذا بس. فبعد ثاني مره وثالث مره بالاخير we started working from home and honestly personally I thought this was the full extent of COVID impact on our business, and at the time we were questioning whether or not people will continue ordering from restaurants, which made up the majority of our customer base, يعني hygiene concerns and so on and so forth. بس اللي حصل إنه we kept seeing the number of orders and the value of the orders as well increase day by day. And then slowly after that, our support teams were getting hammered from the same existing customer base that used to send مثلا one support ticket بالشهر الحين لا they send 5 per day. نبي نغير.
Ahmed, let me stop you because you're saying something very interesting. انت لما قاعد تتكلم عن الكاستمر انت قاعد تتكلم عن اللي قاعد يطلب من مطعمك ولا مطعمك ليه انت؟
البزنس نفسه is the customer عندنا.
شنو مشاكلهم؟ مثلا
because مثلا volatility especially when it comes to delivery hours او مثلا peak hours shifting مثلا من ساعه معينه صارت بعد الكرفيو تغيرت صارت ساعه مختلفه بعدين they had problems with the drivers with the delivery service providers. فمثلا we work with an ecosystem احنا we partner up with the likes of مشكور and so on and so forth. فبالتالي these guys were starting to see their operations get tested and they started to have or to limit their service level as well. فاللي يحصل ان businesses had to adapt to these changes, to these pressures. فيحتاج they need to reflect these changes into their system through Zida. فبدل ما هم طبعا they can easily and يعني manage all of that ولكن طبعا الناتشرال reaction في اللويا هذه كلها انه they contact us على طول and they expect us to also be accommodating and always be there and support them with any change in the system and so on and so forth. A lot of them actually also required guidance and advice when it comes to managing their business online يعني during these volatile times. فالفكرة ان احنا we had مثلا hundreds of clients and we were very يعني capable of serving them في الأوضاع الطبيعية. اللي صار ان the same exact customer base shifted almost 100% of their business online. فبالتالي مع changing requirements that kind of hammered our support levels. At some point يعني حتى الكلاينتس اللي مثلا عندنا شغالين او مشتركين بالخدمه بس they never really went live for no understandable reason طبعا ولكن فجأة الحين this is essential we need to go live tomorrow and it's not 1 or 2 or 10 we started getting يعني tens of them each day. And that also kind of put an additional layer of pressure on the team. At how we had to react صراحة يعني أعتقد إحنا we usually hire slowly. Cultural fitness is critical.
I was literally just going to ask you about your hiring and because it sounds like يعني while people were letting people go and firing people it sounds like you needed to increase your capacity of your employees.
Absolutely, and actually, like I said, like we're typically very slow when it comes to hiring, and we take our time. We had to like take a pause. ونقول خلاص مثلا عندنا الhead of the customer success team قلت له listen, you're not going to handle anymore the current customer base. I will step in and I need you to focus on recruiting. And we started hiring batches of 5 people. فمثلا over the span of 2 weeks, I think we tripled the size of the customer support and customer success teams to just sort of يعني maintain our service level and the reputation إن إحنا لا سريعين وإن إحنا very responsive and so on and so forth. طبعا
let me ask you لأن I know that you guys did an initiative that is very similar to Zai that I'm going to talk about, which is so Intel, you did this offer that I saw in you give a store for the e-commerce solution for free.
Yes.
During هالأيام. So
Yes.
أنت الحين you're telling me you've increased your capacity of your employees. فشلون قاعد تلحق؟ يعني هل أنت الحين يعني were you sacrificing your operating profit to make those deliveries to your customers and عشان ولا were you able to balance this?
والله شوفي يعني business was booming, to be honest. I'm very unfortunate يعني for me to say this during a very
بالعكس and this is what the topic is, survival of the fittest, right? It's amazing to hear these
definitely and at some point we had this discussion, is this the season to make money and think short term, or is this the season to be a responsible member in the community and actually resolve the friction that people are actually confined to their homes now يعني الحين فما يقدر يتحرك ما يقدر يطلب حتى from a consumer standpoint. يعني مثلا احنا عندنا مثلا جروب العائلة I almost never share any messages related to the business or who our clients are and so on and so forth. بس وصلت مرحلة إن أنا when we get some يعني a business that sells essential stuff on Zida, I actually share this list with my family and they really get excited, like it really saves them. فيقول لي حليت مشكلة فهد وفلانة يعني and it works. فالفكرة إن إحنا we saw the responsibility that we have, and it was a question of we need to extend. يعني we're lucky to be in this particular position, and we need to be responsible about it as well. فلا يعني we had to hire fast. We had to figure out how to train people in batches. One of the things that we used to do that we had to stop doing during COVID, we used to do the training one-on-one. فمثلا you sign up معنا as a client, you have a one-on-one session that can go well into ساعة وساعة ونص. During COVID, we can't do that because the number of people that are signing up that want to go online, that need to be online, is like too many for us to be able to do one. It's not scalable. But we shifted to doing webinars, and وفكرة الويبينار بالكويت يعني it wasn't popular before COVID. Actually, most people don't know what a webinar is.
I'm laughing لأن كلكم unmuted إلا سهام muted ما صدق. It's getting really funny يعني. Zain, Hamad, I know what you're going to talk about webinars and I love it, but I want to stop you لأن we had a question on the Q&A. Someone asked something I wanted to ask, and I'm going to go around وندى برجع لك. I want a short answer from each of you. I'm going to come back to you, Hamad, and I want to go first to Siham, Foz, Hamad. So the question was basically about social responsibility. So Hamad, أنت تكلمت عن إن الناس محكورين في بيتهم. So you feel like it's your responsibility to provide a service, and يعني what I'm assuming is إن تبي مثلا والله الناس يفرحون إنه يوصل لهم essentials، أو والله مثلا أحد أمه بتشتري حق عيالها whatever، وطبعا يعني delivery أكل etc. فأنت and I'll start with Siham in F&B. أنت كسهام Deliveroo, were you thinking of والله I'm putting my drivers at risk? Like how did you balance that moral dilemma? Like tell me what your thought process was, and then I'm going to ask the same question to Foz, Hamad, and then Nida, I have a general question for you.
Sure.
Look, it's a tough question, but the comment اللي قالها Hamad, I mean, I agree, we all have a social responsibility, but at the end of the day, as business leaders, you have responsibility to your business. You know, you cannot sustain a business who nobody guarantees survival out of this crisis. This is the reality. And احنا قد ما we want to do good, first and foremost, the reality is your responsibility is to your bottom line and to your company, your team, and to sustain the business. When it comes to moral decisions, أكيد, I worry about the safety of every rider and the safety of every customer and the safety of every restaurant employee. أقول حق وايد ناس يقولون is it safe to order؟ أقول لهم I'm going to send it to my grandma. I don't know if you feel comfortable, but I feel pretty confident. I think at the end of the day, it's a trade-off. You have to think about it scientifically. It's not a gut decision. When you look at the decision and the trade-offs, you know, well, okay, we're going to continue delivering. What's the risk of exposure for every rider versus what's the risk of exposure if everybody goes وينطرون بالجمعيات و100 واحد بهالجمعية و200 واحد بهالجمعية، لأن طوابير والناس فوق بعض. So it's really, it comes down to making a scientific decision based on the information you have, and you don't always have all the information, but with enough information you can make an educated guess. So I think even today, and we can't deliver, but you know, if I went back in time, absolutely the decision is always to deliver. I think it's the safest way to contribute. It's the best way to keep distance.
For the same question.
يعني I agree with Siham completely بالجواب اللي عطتنا إياه, لأن بالنهاية the general consensus about this is that it's very difficult to obtain the virus from delivery if done properly. How do we manage this moral dilemma, and how do we balance this moral dilemma? There's only so much you can do, right? You do temperature checkings حق employees, you do sealed bags, you do contactless delivery, you do the best that you can with the tools that you have, and if done properly, then the likelihood of transmission is very very low. يعني مثل ما قالت سهام وذكرت قبل شوي إن definitely transmission from delivery that has been sealed, that is contactless, that has done temperature checking, that has obtained the highest global standards of hygiene and safety and precautionary measures, is much lower than الجمعية والطوابير اللي احنا قاعدين نشوفها بالتموين والجمعية وغيرها من الأمور اللي موجودة.
انزين ندى, انت ككونسيومر, حمد I'm coming back, انت ككونسيومر وكإنسان عندك خبرة بمجالات وايد, انت لما تشوف انه والله ديليفرو, دو, طلبات, carriage are doing any being open for business, doing delivery, etc. How do you feel? What do you think? شنو رأيك بالموضوع؟
أنا أشوف إنه يعني هالبلاتفورمز تساعد أكثر ما إن هي تضر للأمانة, and it bring efficiency to the consumer. أتفق 100% بالكلام اللي قالته فوز. أحسن ما يكون في 100 واحد بالجمعية if these platforms can deliver the people stuff. وعندنا موضوع المواعيد مال الجمعيات. I think these both elements together can يعني تخلي الموضوع شوية يعني it doesn't hit these companies like really hard. يعني imagine delivery مع كل وهي شركة توها مبلشة بالكويت, يعني ما صار لها فترة وايد طويلة, and you stop completely their operation يعني. فأعتقد إن وأحس كذي إنه يعني الحكومة حالياً قاعد تاخذ قرارات, وبالعكس وايد في قرارات خذتها and they revisited again. فأنا أشوف إن واحدة من القرارات اللي ممكن they revisited again موضوع التوصيل, مع إنه by the way يعني حسب تقارير وزارة الصحة إن ثاني أكبر مشكلة بموضوع الانتشار مال الفيروس بسبب التوصيل. فممكن يكون في قرار على أساس إن ترد هالبلاتفورمز مرة ثانية under a certain hygiene, they need to test their employees. أنا قاعد أكلمك ككونسيومر طبعا, هذا الحل عندي وايد أفضل من أنا أوقفهم بالمرة. بالعكس إذا وقفتهم بالمرة أنا I don't know الناس اللي under their payrolls ممكن يكونون والله مرضى and they still يعني spreading the virus. بس إذا هم يكون عندهم system إنه مثلاً والله weekly basis, bi-monthly ولا بطريقة معينة إنه they get tested, ولا إنه يوقف يعني حال البشر. أنا بختم بنقطة وايد بسيطة related to this point. الأسبوع اللي طاف سويت survey دزيته حق كل الستارت اب كوميونيتيز اللي نشتغل معاهم. كان السيرفي عبارة عن 3 أسئلة: قاعد تشتري أونلاين during كورونا ولا لا؟ لما قاعد تشتري أونلاين شلون التوصيل؟ does companies are up to their promise ولا قاعد يصير فيها إخلال ولا شيء كذي؟ يعني you will be surprised. هذا السيرفي جاوبوه تقريبا قريب ل 49 واحد من ال 49 واحد ما طلب اونلاين خلال هالفتره. That means يعني ان انت you are in a booming period of time for these businesses. That's number one. Number two, اغلبيه الشركات الكبيره بدون اني اذكر اسامي فشلت فشل ذريع بالتوصيل. والشركات الصغيره اللي توها طالعه اللي معتمده على الحلول التكنولوجيه اللي معتمده على it comes at the first يعني of the list of the people answers. يعني going back to this point ان من الافضل، واعتقد هذا حسب وجهه نظري الشخصيه، ان government will be revising these decisions ما أعتقد شركات التوصيل for the whole 20 days that will be closed down. هذا اعتقادي الشخصي.
Interesting. I disagree. All right. We'll discuss it بعد شوية. حمد, سؤال من ال participants regarding ramping up the team. How easy was it to find talent in a time crunch?
والله شوفي يعني usually it's difficult. We've been recruiting throughout 2019. يعني we never really stopped. But like I said, like we were going at it very slowly. During the pandemic, a lot of companies were laying off. Especially now Uber, Careem, they're all downsizing with layoffs. يعني if anything, it's a golden opportunity to offer jobs to those that are being laid off by these larger companies. They already have the skill set. They're already very well trained. They're not being laid off for lack of performance. If anything, it's for factors outside of their control. للأمانة, it went by very easy. But I don't think that's the main challenge. The main challenge that we had is our recruiting process typically consists of مثلا 2 interviews and then a full day at the office where we test the cultural fitness and so on. We had to cut it off to a single interview and then hire batches of people and make sure they all start on the same day so that they all go through a very condensed, very fast training program. That program we had to come up with over like the span of 2-3 days as well. Everything يعني what we used to do in a month الحين صار ياخذ 3 أيام maximum. And we had very aggressive deadlines. None of them were achievable صراحة. Unless يعني أنت من تصحى من النوم لين تنام آخر اليوم أنت you're just working. يعني this was basically the status of the entire team. أنا يمكن كنا يعني it was a really tough time. It was a very stressful time for all of us. بس فجأة يعني فإحنا نكون مثلا عندنا priorities وعندنا expansion بعدين فجأة تيجي الحكومة full lockdown. الحين our support channels are almost dead. ما في أحد يعني عنده أي مشكلة of any kind because no one is delivering. Business is down actually by 90%. We used to process مثلا millions of dollars, let's say. Now it's a fraction of that number. يعني literally like it's 90% down. يعني no joke, that was the number. And this is an overnight change, يعني day over day. And I think maybe Deliveroo عندهم أرقام أكبر ويعني more interesting.
وسهام is muted فما تقدر تجاوب. By the way, just wanna like يعني في شيء قاعد يصير. شنو سهام؟
I just want to correct. كان في معلومة ندى ما أدري you mentioned the point about the food delivery being the second highest cause of corona spread, but I want to make sure I get the right source for that. لأن that's I hadn't heard that before, and I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
Somebody else asked it. Nida, a question for you. I don't recall the Ministry of Health mentioning anything about transmission through delivery. Can you please direct that as to where exactly you found this information?
هذا تقرير تقدرين تحصلينه عند الأخ ناصر المطوع، هو وكيل وزارة التجارة واللي هو المختص بالخدمات التقنية واللي قاعد يسوي تصاريح الجمعيات وقاعد يسوي كل هذه المواضيع. Based on interview that have done with him 2 days ago, إن أول سبب لانتشار الفيروس هو المخالطة. ثاني سبب لانتشار الفيروس is خدمات التوصيل. That's done by him. هو شخص مسؤول عن هذا الموضوع. و definitely if you need his contact تعرفين شلون هم كوزارة تجارة يمكن بينهم وبين بعض تنسيق مع وزارة الصحة. I can put you in contact with them.
And Zain, I'm gonna now make everyone like really answer quickly because I want to get through the Q&A section. Q&A questions, there are some very naughty questions that I'm looking forward to asking all of you. But I think I want to understand one thing, which was my number one question for all of you, which is how did you change your marketing strategy during this time? Please, quick answers, but more importantly, يعني انتوا الحين بتغيرون الماركتينج والcommunication. What did you change? Was it the channels? Was it the communication? How did you communicate to new customers to acquire them? And how have you retained the old ones? If I can get a very quick answer from everyone, Siham.
I'm going to make this very brief. From a marketing perspective, look, we reserve all channels for communication around safety and what we're doing around COVID. All other marketing messages, which is usually, you work on your marketing messaging and what you want to get to the customer, is paused because we don't want to clutter, we want our voice to be clear. In terms of marketing channels, the focus is really not on acquisition, but retention and maintaining information to our customers. So, I think like many businesses, we're not focused on aggressive acquisition of customers. We just want to make sure they have the right information. So CRM is an important tool. Owned content, social media content, channels where our customers, existing customers can hear from us, in-app pop-ups, in-app notifications, and everything else really like our key messages, all the stuff we were thinking about is on the back burner until further notice.
Foz?
I agree with Siham. I think our marketing strategy is more about retention rather than acquisition. But general product development, general anything, promoting or marketing anything that has to do with precautionary measures, sealing bags, sealing machines, etc., contactless, هالأمور من the kind of precautionary measures that we take and shed light on that. And the DIY kits, the frozen, I think you've seen all of that being done with product development.
Look at home.
Ready meal kits, etc., and product development بشكل عام, co-branded products, collaborations, these kinds of things.
حمد?
احنا بالنسبه لنا يمكن الرياكشن كان مختلف. We usually operate with quarterly goals, specifically for the acquisition. اللي صار انه we held an all hands meeting وناقشنا فكره ان يمكن ما it's not a good time now to be commercial. يعني now is not the time to be a commercial business, specifically in the industry that we're in. We shifted our focus إن بدل ما نشتغل على quarterly نشتغل على strategic goals تخدمنا يمكن بعد 2-3 سنين بدل ما تخدمنا في الوقت الحالي. We launched the initiative to, first of all, we extended 3 months free for all of our clients عشان فترة الكوفيد and they don't have to pay us any subscription fees during this time, so that the entire service was for free. So we first looked inwards to support our existing clients. الفترة اللي بعدها كانت to launch a program to onboard as many, actually specifically 1,000 local businesses that are impacted by the COVID repercussions.
Abdullah Sharhan, Team Zaire, listening to those numbers? Continue.
That was the second thing, and the whole goal للأمانة موضوع transitioning online is something that we think is bound to happen, should happen. It's good for the customer, good for the business. ولكن the awareness around it wasn't there. Now we have a golden opportunity during COVID that everyone is listening, everyone wants to be educated. We launched موضوع initiative and we will train you. We're not looking to make money, even though our numbers were high. Our business development team was asking to extend or to actually delay and push the initiative because sales were up, we're exceeding our targets. But we left money on the table to do the more responsible thing, to be more strategic about our marketing and our acquisition rather than short-term focus. But this is the main shift اللي حصل عندنا. So it was a shift of the timeline in which we were holding our acquisition targets and so on.
Okay, Nida, same question, and then last question.
والله شوفي أنا يعني 2 points very quickly. إحنا الاستراتيجي الأولى اللي قاعد نسويها الحين إنه we have to keep our burning rate, especially بالبحرين, very low. إحنا شركة دشينا البحرين، السوق البحريني شهر 8 ونبي نساعد المشاريع، وقاعد نعطيهم خدمات، قاعد نعطيهم funding، قاعد نعطيهم مكاتب، قاعد نعطيهم desks. We have to keep our commitment مع الناس اللي وظفناهم، مع العقود اللي وقعناها، مع السيرفيس بروفايدرز اللي قاعد يسوون لنا خدماتنا بالبحرين. I haven't invested in any new project starting from like February, and للأمانة يعني to keep our burning rate like as low as I can. ما بلشت بولا واحد من my team. أنا نفسكم. So I'm the founder of the company بس استلم معاش. فالمعاش اللي أنا أخذه مقسم إلى قسمين، جزء من الكويت، جزء من البحرين. الجزء اللي أنا استلمه من البحرين I've stopped it completely. فهذه واحدة من الاستراتيجي اللي سويتها. I stopped it to keep the burning rate like really low and to keep the team اللي أنا I committed to take this journey to the next level. هذه النقطة الأولى. النقطة الثانية أنا شخصياً واحدة من العيوب اللي موجودة فيني إن أنا I don't adapt really quickly. يعني تلاقين وايد مشاريع أول أسبوع كورونا، ثاني أسبوع they start shifting things around. أنا ما عندي هالخاصية. I'm a person that I don't take things seriously very fast, and I'm a person that it takes time to change. I change, but I take time to adapt these changes. فمن بلش COVID-19 today we launched our virtual lab. اعتمدنا بالvirtual lab هذا على شيء very unique. ان في فترة ال8 سنين اللي طافت وروحتنا لسان فرانسيسكو أكثر من 10 مرات, we've gained a massive amount of contact from Facebook, from Google, from everywhere. And the best thing to do right now is to share those people expertise, experiment, شنو صاير معاهم الحين with our community in our part of the world. And that's what Brilliant Lab Virtual is all about basically. واليوم أول يوم we launched this virtual lab. بلشنا فيه local content, بس on the coming next week راح تشوفون مثلا head of recruitment في Facebook, راح تشوفون the person who was handling Gmail, and a lot of great stories.
Amazing. All right, I'm going to go to Q&A, and then I have a last question from myself to ask you all before we end this. Each question I'm going to ask maybe one person because there's around 18 questions. All right, so I'm going to start with my favorite one. A very أنا السؤال مو من عندي ها أنا مالي شغل. A very famous boutique application is delivering even today during the night too. Shouldn't something like this be stopped immediately? I'm going to ask Siham only because she's in delivery. What do you think? Not me. It's not me.
I think good for them. I think more people should deliver. I'm fully supportive of delivery during al-Hadar. I think I still strongly believe it's an essential service at this time. I see it in every single developed part of the world, and بالعكس, good for them. And I hope we can follow suit. To be very honest.
All right. Second question is, what are your opinions about retail businesses specifically that are trying very hard to increase revenues during this crisis? Will they be considered irresponsible and drive people away, as their reputation during the crisis will be cash first instead of community first? Yani first as in their customers. Foz, I'm just curious, do you think that people should be thinking about profits and revenues during this time? What kind of time do you think we're in right now?
I think from a business perspective, to be very frank, in order for you to adequately run a business, you should always be thinking about profit. I know that sounds very capitalistic of me, so I do apologize for like this, but I do want to be extremely transparent, and I do think that profit is very important for you to sustain your business. Are there times where profit is not the most important thing? Yes, there are. Obviously, there are things that are much more important than profit, but it doesn't mean that profit is not important. For me to be able to continue to deliver a premium product, for me to be able to continue to do what I need to do, I need to at least break even. And for me to break even in any time, given this time, is when I need liquidity the most. So I think it is important.
All right. Have you guys, I want just yes or no, one by one. Pay cuts for lockdown. Are you making pay cuts? I just want to know yes or no. Have you made pay cuts? Siham, yes or no?
No.
Have you fired anyone?
We have had headcount reductions across the company, yes.
Okay. Nida, have you cut paychecks, and have you fired anyone?
I haven't fired anyone, and the only paycheck I've cut is myself.
Foz?
No, to both questions. We have not.
Hamid?
No, to both questions as well.
All right. And Zain. To the businesses that have employees working from home, how have you modified your management style? I love this question. For the new working environment with regards to workload, targets, working hours. I just want to get a very quick answer. And has the workload increased or decreased? Siham?
I think in general, the workload has increased. I think the biggest change is we over-communicate. Like I said, meetings every day. We talk to each other almost too much. I think we're almost sick of each other, but I think to get a point across, I think that's essential. Anybody running a business, you need to over-communicate. Otherwise, I think things fall through the cracks.
Hamad?
Definitely workload increased. بالنسبة للmanagement style, للأمانة, we were not remote first at all. We had a couple of days work from home as a policy بشهر. So we never really tested.
بس أنت لأن نص التيم بمصر ونص التيم بالكويت صح؟
Yes, but even then, like each team is managed. يعني the manager is with them في مكتب وشغالين في culture إن إحنا we're office. يعني عامة I think so where I stand on remote. طبعا I'm a huge fan of remote. ولكن الثقافة العربية is a high context culture. It requires facial expressions, tone of voice. These particular cues are very critical in communicating. And it doesn't really come across, it's very hard to transmit over Slack or email. This is why I don't think it really applies in our region. That having said that, اللي حصل فعليا مثل ما ذكرت سهام, and we're doing more calls. I've shared with the team to enable video. We still struggle with this. للأمانة, people are uncomfortable showing their personal side, their personal homes.
لا خلي البيرسونال سايد. شعري مو دائما حلو حق الكاميرا, وجهي مو دائما كاميرا ريدي, صح ولا لا؟ زين. I'm gonna interrupt you just because we have a really tons of really good questions. This is a controversial one, but I'll ask it anyway. Hamad, do you feel that Zayda platform pulls businesses from Deliveroo?
No.
Yes or no? All right. Siham, in your
can you repeat that just to make sure?
You think you're pulling business from Siham, from Deliveroo? Are you guys competitors?
No, maybe Siham can comment on this better than I can.
I think restaurants and businesses need every channel they can get to. At the end of the day, we compete for customer acquisition. Can you hear me?
I'll just say one thing that's controversial. So Deliveroo actually did. Sorry, Siham, I don't mean to be very upfront about this, but we did have some clients that Deliveroo kind of forced to use the Deliveroo link on their Instagram. They were in a dilemma. Again, because they had some sort of agreement with Deliveroo, revenue guarantee of sorts, marketing scheme, شيء من هالنوع. I think from our perspective, we want to enable business owners to be independent and autonomous and have the freedom to engage with their customers directly. I think with regards to this, some policies and some rules agreement particular.
I'm going to ignore this comment, but what I will say is at the end of the day, yes, we compete for customer acquisition, right? At the end of the day, everybody wants the customer's attention, one way or another. Now, who provides the best service and who can train the customer and who can find the way
we compete.
Sorry, but do we compete at the end of the day? And you're trying to acquire a customer for the restaurant. مثل ما أنا as Deliveroo or غير Deliveroo is trying to acquire a customer for the restaurant. So أكيد there is a form of competition. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I encourage restaurants to, depending on the form of agreement or how we work together, they're all independent to make the decisions that make sense for them as a business. And I have no control over someone's business decisions when they run their own P&L. But I think we compete, but I think that's healthy. I think competition is good. It gives restaurants more options. They choose what makes sense for them, and we all invest to try to propel them. So it's a good form of competition, and I encourage it.
So
and anyways, being on Deliveroo, for example, would give you a network effect versus being independent. It gives you more profit. So I think, and if I was a restaurant, I'd do both.
From our side, just to clarify, we recommend our clients to be on all platforms, including Deliveroo, from our side. This is a recommendation that we do. However, we ask them that since
why not carriage and talabat? Curious.
All platforms, not just exclusive to Deliveroo. All platforms. So be on as many as you can. Yeah. So this is our position because these are acquisition platforms. So they should be bringing you your customer. They should be bringing you new customers. Whereas the customers that you acquire through Instagram are ones you should keep because this is your channel and you should complement this channel with a sales channel that you own, which can be powered by Zida. And even though it will be powered by Zida, the domain name is something that you own, and you can always switch over Zida to either your own solution, to another competitor, and so on and so forth. But the main idea is that we recommend.
Hamad muted you this time.
Sorry, and actually I'm going to ask a question to Foz. Foz, you're in the F&B industry, and I think this is relevant to you as a business user. I wonder what are the channels you use and why, if I may. Sorry, Sarah. يعني.
لا عادي.
Okay, so the channels that we use right now are Carriage Talabat and Deliveroo. The only reason that we were in talks, and I think Hamad, you know this, with Zida for a while to get on there as well. But the only thing that creates somewhat of an obstacle for us is logistical delivery, right? So we do not have a fleet of our own. Carriage Talabat and Deliveroo do provide this fleet, and therefore this gives us an easier solution to kind of just deal with one single party. If we were to get on Zida, which I think is a great optimal choice for a lot of people, and I do recommend it. Allah yawfikkum Hamad. But I think if we were to get on Zida, it would require an additional contract with the logistical delivery company that would be able to provide fleet, and therefore you would have to deal with a layer of different parties.
احنا يمكن just to يعني a final comment to Sarah ما عليك. So when it comes to delivery, maybe when we initially started talking, we didn't have any particular partnership or integration with delivery partners, but we heard our clients. We realized that this is something that this was something that they needed. فبالتالي we worked on a partnership with Mashkoor, which is a market leader in their own category. And since then, we've onboarded many clients. Many of them are using Mashkoor, happily so. طبعا during COVID, the struggle is universal. فالسيرفيس ليفلز عامة يعني كانت صعبة الفترة الأخيرة، ولكن prior to that things have been amazing, and it's a channel that you own. At any point in time, you can also, احنا from our side at least, we're already in talks with multiple delivery companies, the best actually at what they do. So we do the vetting as well from our end. We negotiate for a good SLA on behalf of our clients, and we have the negotiation power because we have the number of clients that can sway and convince delivery providers to provide a solid SLA that protects the client and the business. In addition to that, we will plan to have redundancy, so you can switch between the delivery providers whenever you can to the one that serves you best, gives you the best rates, gives you the freedom, and works according to your requirements. This is basically احنا بالأخير اليوم Zida is not what we did in the past. Zida is basically a business or a team that continuously looks to solve problems of business owners, however small. Could be يعني في البيت عندها مشروع صغير. We've had this particular profile of a client, and we also have the giant corporates that have been around for decades and have millions of dollars in budgets and thousands of people in operations. So we're very proud to serve both of these types of customers, and يعني موضوع delivery will continue to be something that we invest in terms of partnerships, working with the ecosystem, enabling competition, and seamlessly integrating all of that into our system so that you don't have to struggle with all of it.
Okay. Can we Zain, can we do no more F&B questions? All right. There is one very interesting question about to Siham. Please, very quick answer. Have you considered contacting authorities in order to resume delivery operations during الحظر الكلي? Deliveroo in Dubai is good in terms of safety and hygiene. This might influence the local government's decision. This was by Rakan Fadala.
Yeah, لا, of course. Look, since day one احنا قاعد نكلم ال relative entities والوزارات والى اخره، وقاعد نطرح نفس السيفتي processes that we take in Dubai. You know, we develop them together between Kuwait and Dubai. فأكيد there's constant contact. I think we're just trying to give them a chance to decide what's the best next step. وإحنا حاضرين بس أكيد we won't stop trying. لأن apart from just us as a business, which I think we can sustain ourselves. We're a global company. We're well funded. We work with thousands of restaurants that need our support and need a channel. And for many of them, we make up the majority of their sales. So we won't stop trying. And I hope we'll get somewhere with these negotiations.
Okay, great. And Zain, I have a question that is for the panel. What was the hardest decision you had to make, company decision, during COVID? I'll start with Nida.
والله شوفي يعني انا واحد من اقوى القرارات انا رديت الكويت at the same day of the lockdown. فكنت بالبحرين ما كنت بالكويت و I had to choose يعني باكر بيتسكر المطار وبتتسكر الحدود. Should I stay there? Should I come back to Kuwait? Eventually رديت الكويت بس يعني وايد كنت شايل هم البحرين للامانه في البدايه يعني. هذه واحده من القرارات from business perspective للامانه يعني انا الى هذا اليوم I'm still under evaluating a lot of يعني واحده من القرارات اللي سويناها انه كان المفروض ان هالسنه 2020 مع صندوق الاستثمار مع رساميل انه this year we should invest in 10 startup. Couple of weeks ago ان اعتقد البورتفوليو until end of 2020 ما راح يزيد عن 3 مشاريع. فهذه واحده من القرارات اللي كانت وايد صعبه انه to downsize الانفستمنت بورتفوليو من انك انت تستثمر في 10 مشاريع جديده. طبعا احنا قاعد نتحكى early stage. That's why the number of investment is a big number. 10 investment is not a small investment at all. But these the main 2 points to be honest. Like رديتي من البحرين we downsized the investment during 2020 من 10 ل 3.
Okay. Siham, toughest decision you made during COVID?
I think just to touch on a decision on something I said earlier, in that deliver not deliver, الناس يبون ما يبون بينتقدونا بيقولون ما يصير نوقف ما نوقف. I think one of the days وقفنا deliveries قررنا بنفس اليوم ونزلنا إعلان و people were going back and forth لأن there wasn't clarity على القرارات وشون الإجراءات بالشوارع. That was a very tough decision, but I think at the end of the day, again, you have to look at things as scientifically as possible with the limited information you have and take the best decision you can. So it's one of many, but for me, putting riders on the road was the toughest decision.
Foz?
To keep things brief, I think managing supply chain disruptions without any quality degradation, managing cash flow, and revisiting expansion plans to help, liquidity and see what you can do with liquidity and where to expand when, and kind of knowing where to stop and slow down and where to accelerate.
Hamid?
I would say it's giving up 100% of our cash flow for the next 3 months. Would be the most difficult decision.
Sorry, can you repeat?
I'm saying, so بالنسبة لنا, I think giving up 100% of our cash flow خلال الأزمة is probably the boldest decision we've made since we've started Zida, and I hope it pays off at some point.
Sarah, if you may allow me, بسأل فوز وحمد very quick question. Since we're talking about cash flow.
As long as it's not.
لا بس فوز أو حمد, are you guys anyone? لأن أنا قاعد أقارنها مع the other projects اللي قاعد نشتغل وياهم. Are you guys planning to apply for the economical loans اللي تو سوتها الحكومة ولا لا؟
If we're eligible, yes.
فوز?
For now, no. For now,
يعني maybe?
Most likely not. Can we go with that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Amanatan, we got a lot of questions about government, but we took a vote yesterday not to discuss it, and it needs its own halqa. I like this question for Foz and Siham. Do you believe the government should have consulted dominant players in the market to reach a fair decision, supportive of consumers' needs while adhering to global health recommendations? If so, what would you have recommended?
Oh, loaded question. I don't think the government has an obligation to ask anybody, really. I think they're meant to be the subject matter experts. I think they can always reach out, but I don't think that's something that they necessarily have to do. It's a tough situation where everybody has different interests, right? At the end of the day, it's the prerogative of the government to make these decisions. But if you can you read the second part of the question? in terms of health restrictions or safety
measures?
I
dismissed it فما يطلع لي. But let's move on. It's essentially should they basically asked you and come up with some sort of committee to decide what's best for the consumer?
I think that's to the discretion of the government. They're the people in charge. Of course, it's always good to have the right people in the room to support. But I don't think there's a yes or no on that.
All right. And Zain, I'm going to ask another crucial question to everybody. In terms of social responsibility, what action have your organizations taken to help out the whole community during this crisis? I think Hamad, you answered this already, and you guys gave 0% for 3 months. Let me start with Foz. Have you done any social responsibility during this time?
Honestly, no. There's not much of social responsibility that we can do, especially given إذا إحنا قاعد نتكلم حظر كلي فإحنا we're talking at zero operation. إذا إحنا قاعد نتكلم عن الحظر الجزئي فإحنا قاعد نتكلم less than 30% of our capacity. There's not much that we can do. The most that we can do to be socially responsible is to maintain the highest global standards of sanitary and hygiene measures, and like be as good as we can be to the people and the stakeholders that to the company. The sealing bags, the temperature checks, all these precautionary measures that we take, but to actually do something big for the community or give back to the community at this point, we haven't really done anything, no.
Okay, Siham?
Sarah, I don't want to claim some grand thing that we've done. We've tried our best to just connect the dots with restaurants who want to donate meals and created a forum for people to donate. For us, we're just trying to look out for our employees, our riders, have a big fleet. How do we make sure they have a hardship fund? How do we make sure, they don't go hungry or they can still pay their rent if we cease operations like we are now for a couple of weeks. I think our responsibility has been primarily to our employees, our fleet, and then as much as possible connecting the dots with charities and restaurants.
All right. Let me see where else. All righty. I'm going to end the Q&A because there's a lot more and they're too broad, but I'm going to ask from my list of questions, and it's going to be the last question. In terms of the changes that you have overall made into your organization, whether it was work from home, whether it was business decisions, overall, I'm going to go one by one. I'm going to start with Nida this time لأن آخر واحد دائما. شنو التغييرات اللي أنت بتاخذها وياك من بعد كورونا into your organization, whether it be changes within the way you do business or habits, new things, new culture shifts post corona?
طريقة الشغل وايد في أشياء أحس إنها يعني ما كنت أتخيل إنها تكون to be done من غير لا نكون موجودين بالمكتب. إحنا بالكويت completely locked down. بالبحرين قاعد يداومون الناس عادي وما عندهم أي مشكلة. باكر في meetings very important meetings صاير بالبحرين. فإذا في شيء واحد إن الكاري تون معاي إن work efficiency definitely not everything need to be a lot of meetings could be done by email. A lot of efficiency is number one. أنا يعني إذا في شغلة ثانية ودي أخذها again يعني it's more personal development أكثر من أنها هي corporate behavior. يعني my personal يعني as a personal development I need to teach myself to act a little bit faster. That's the two things that I'll train myself during this period really to take it off.
من 4:30 ل 6:30 جرب sprinting برا.
I'll try my best والله.
All right, Foz.
Okay, so post-COVID, I think one thing that I do want to shed light on, given the industry that I have, and this is a theory that I have thought of, I think that online platforms have created طلبات كارج بالبداية الأمور هذه كلها have created a very big market disruption. And it allowed the restaurant and the F&B business to become one that requires minimal investment, quick route to market, easy accessibility. You don't have to invest in drivers, you don't have to invest in a fleet. So it becomes very easy for you to launch a مطعم. فتشوفين إن the F&B industry itself and the F&B market became extremely oversaturated. oversupply بشكل مو طبيعي. The demand did increase, yes, with these platforms, but the supply overexceeded the demand wide. In order for us to reach market equilibrium, I think COVID is coming as some form of, for lack of better term to everyone, some form of cleansing, right? So it's like a market correction. يصير في correction. The market will recorrect itself. You will see supply go down drastically to kind of meet demand. Therefore, a lot of businesses will exit the market post-COVID, and I think this is one of the biggest things that's gonna change. When these businesses do end up exiting the market, the people who are and يعني, how ironic it is the survival of the fittest, which is the title of the seminar, is that it will remain as the survival of the fittest for sure. بتشوفون ان الديماند راح يزيد ممكن definitely for a short period of time and then eventually stabilize. But because the supply has come down and because of the correction that happens in the market, we're going to be much closer to equilibrium, and therefore even there's going to be optimization for everyone involved بهال market and all. So I think this is one of the biggest things that's going to happen as a change in the market post-COVID. I think I think that's the biggest thing actually.
Siham?
I do think based on اللي قاعد نشوفه بالكويت all of our markets really where we operate, I think there's going to be a permanent shift in consumer behavior around frequency of purchasing online, acquisition of customers who purchase online. I think بهالفترة a lot of people who were used to brick and mortar and who were used to going into a store or cooking their own food have had this exposure to online marketplaces, and I think that behavior is permanent. So I expect to see more online purchasing. I expect to see more businesses plan for contingency around online business and being able to have e-commerce platforms and marketplace platforms, because it's not something that's just a luxury now. I think it's essential, and I think that's a change that's going to continue for the long term. And then I think what's not, I don't want to say fun, but what's exciting about, even though it's a crisis, but what strikes me as exciting is there's a lot of unknowns in terms of changes and behavior that we're yet to see. You know, we don't know what the world will look like after the crisis.
It's within your organization, I would say.
Okay, so specifically in my organization, I think this is some consumer behavior changing impacts my organizations and others, but I think it's similar across marketplaces.
I think I let Foz answer it, but I think my question was more into كشركة مثلا, are you going to let people work from home more? Like overall, what do you think changes that happened during COVID that you will continue? And Thiam, you don't have to. We can move on to Hamad if you feel you answered the question. Hamad?
So definitely, يعني أعتقد we're going to expand the work from home policy that we have, which is, like I mentioned, 2 days a month. Definitely, at least some teams and then I could enjoy the comfort of working from home. That's on one side. On the other side, I do hope people adopt transacting and shopping online, and actually businesses even being online. I hope this becomes more of a permanent behavior and a permanent component of their business. On the other side, I think what's being tested in this crisis is business models that are not sustainable. Recently, I think Uber Eats has shut down their operations completely across the Middle East. And I think Deliveroo here, sorry to be on the offensive again, Siham, but I'm gonna shoot another one your way. I think Deliveroo, Uber Eats are more or less operating on the same model where they charge commissions and they take care of the last mile delivery as well. And this business model, I think, is being tested in this pandemic. I hope they survive because Deliveroo is one of the fittest companies in the world. Actually, and to mention something nice, Amazon launched a competitor, I think, sometime in the UK, and they had to shut it down at some point. But I do hope Deliveroo.
Wait, how's that nice?
لا لأن Deliveroo was they were unable to compete with Deliveroo in the UK. That was
launched the business. Sorry.
أي ليش؟ لأن Deliveroo يعقد بلندن. They come to your house. والله ولا تدري الريال يا. He leaves it. It's like somebody like a fairy.
To say something nice in return, it's also my favorite app. Honestly, among the other marketplaces. It's what I go to for my repeat purchases. But that being said, I think the takeaway here is that sustainable business models are important. Crises do test whether or not your business model is sustainable enough. And I think from our side, we do hope, I believe we have a sustainable model. And it's not that we have a sustainable model. I think we enable businesses to have a sustainable model as well. I hope this sticks with us. And work-wise, like I mentioned, I think we're going to expand on the remote work program rather than keep it as it is.
Okay. If there are any last comments from the panelists, if anybody has anything to say, otherwise,
I'll shoot something until the other folks maybe have other thoughts. Basically, يعني أنا في شغلة ودي أقولها. إحنا كنا وايد متعودين إن في وايد أشياء ناخذها for granted. و during هالperiod صراحة يعني nothing is for granted. ف don't take anything for granted. In a day تقدر تشوف شنو صار بالعالم كله. الشغلة الثانية, if you have a work, like really make it done. There's work like there's no tomorrow. للأمانة يعني. These two comments I want to leave you guys with.
Great. Siham, do you have any last words?
I do not, but good luck to anybody else who's listening.
Well, all I have to say is عسى الله يحفظ الجميع إن شاء الله ويشفي مرضانا ويرفع الوباء عن الكويت وعن العالم العربي وعن العالم جميعا و stay safe.
Hamad,
stay safe.
Will you take Siham to coffee when you're in Kuwait and clear this mess up?
Yes.
Can I come?
Of course.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for the people who attended. I'm sorry if I missed any questions. I was trying to keep things focused. Inshallah, we'll see you next time on the next CCD. Thank you. Have a good night. Please stay safe. Enjoy al-hadar. Take it as a time out to slow down.
Thank you so much, everyone. Happy to meet you all. Thanks.
Good night.